Guys, I won't beat around the bush. Today we're talking about Langston Love. You see the thumbnail, you see the player. It is a big-time player for Baylor who just hit the transfer portal on Monday. I'm going to talk about the possibility of Kansas State adding him to the portal, the pros, the cons, everything in between. We'll talk about that all and more. Before I do, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. It helps us out immensely as we continue to grow this thing each and every day. Also, for those of you that are wondering, I'm getting the tattoo, the Cat Script tattoo for hitting 3,000 subs. It's coming up. It'll be the second week of April. We'll get this thing done. I think it's April 11th is the exact day. Maybe it's later than that. I forget. I tweeted about it. If you saw that, go check it out. But guys, like I said, we're talking about Langston Love. I know that's a polarizing name in the transfer portal for a couple different reasons. Obviously, Kansas State has a ton of ties to Langston Love and the Baylor program as a whole, just based off the fact that Coach Tang and Scott Drew have been buddies for the last 2 decades. I've spent the better part of 20 seasons, 20 plus years under Scott Drew, Coach Tang did, getting his coaching chops in that situation figured out. Obviously now head coach at Kansas State, so you understand anytime a Baylor player hits the program, or hits the transfer portal, that Kansas State will likely have some type of interest if the player is deemed worthy. In this case, Langston Love fits that demographic. I'll tell you that right now. I'll toss up some highlights as I talk about the ins and outs of this, and then I'll also talk about some injury history because we know that there's a lot of stuff to discuss there. But jumping in right away, this is a 6'5", 210-pound guard, a guy that's played the last 3 seasons for Baylor, and I'll read you his stats, but his best season was his sophomore season, coming off the 2023-2024 season. That being said, he still bounced back in a good way here this past fall. This season, he averaged 8.9 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.2 assists. The previous season, like I said, in 2023-2024, Langston Love averaged 11 points, 2.9 rebounds per game, and 1.2 assists. He's been a really efficient player in terms of his overall career. Obviously, this past season, not coming off a super effective one in terms of efficiency. This past season, shot 38.9% from the field and 32.6% from 3. Now, pump the brakes because that is not great. The previous season, like I said, 2023-2024, shot 46.5% from 3, so damn near 50%, and then 48% from 3. That is incredible. Now, I know that that's not going to be ins and outs. It's always going to be, every single night is going to be that high. Langston Love's going to have his shooting slumps. He's going to have his really great nights where he goes 5 of 5 from the field, whatever the case is, 5 of 5 from 3. So you understand there's some give and take to that. This past season shot almost 90% from the free throw line at 89.2%. But like I said, the big thing to talk about with Langston Love is the injury history. He's got some injuries. He's got some stuff banged up in his career. Hasn't been on the court a ton. This past season played his least amount of games to date. That being said, the majority of the games he missed was early in the season. Obviously had a couple of games here and there during the season, and I don't know that he was ever 100% healthy, but down the stretch did get to play in the NCAA tournament. Last season, that wasn't the reality. Had to sit out and miss the NCAA tournament due to a couple different injuries going on. This year, played 20 games. That was averaging 26.4 minutes per game. That was the most time he's played on the court in his career. The previous season, 24 games, 24.8 minutes per game, so damn near the same. And then the 2022-2023 season, played in 30 games and averaged 16.6 minutes per game. He posted 11 points in his last game against Duke of the season, this 11-3-2 in a game that they lost. They got blown out. That stinks. It is what it is. Duke's a damn good basketball team. Langston Love, the previous game in the first round, so the first game to talk about in the East region, 15 points, 4 rebounds, was a really effective player at times throughout the season, also had some slumps here and there. Let me read you some high school numbers before I talk about the fit with Kansas State, just so you get more of a feel. Obviously, we're 3 years off of the high school numbers, but it's still important information to see where he came from. In the class of 2021, coming out of Montverde Academy, a superstar program that produces everybody. Obviously, Cooper Flagg, the other kid for Baylor that I'm blanking on, VJ Edgecombe, both kids at the same school. This is obviously multiple years removed from that, but that being said, 4-star prospect in his class, the 38th ranked player overall in his class, the 9th best player at his position, so shooting guard, and the 7th best player in the state of Texas. Let me read you what Brandon Jenkins had to say about him coming out of high school. Love is a shooting guard with good size and strength who scores without any wasted motion. He is tough and efficient, not only with his field goal percentages, but also with his decision-making, as he does not make a lot of mistakes while on the floor. Love does not allow the defense to speed him up and makes solid, smart basketball plays. He's a consistently productive guard that can shoot the ball and defend. A reliable open shot maker who is a good rebounder from the backcourt. Love projects as someone who will thrive in Baylor's system. That's from Brandon Jenkins, like I said, over at 24/7 Sports. All of that really sounds pretty spot on. Shout out to Brandon Jenkins. A lot of that is pretty accurate. He's a really solid player, doesn't speed up his pace. He feels like he's under control for the majority of times. But with this thing, like I said, the issue that you have to discuss, you have to convey the pros and cons of Langston Love's health, because is he going to be a player that's going to play 24 games played? Is he going to be a guy that's going to play all 32? Is he going to play 10 games? These are the reality of the situation that you have to understand, and that's not just an easy thing to come to terms with. For my case specifically, because I feel like it'd be interesting to add my own perspective here, I think it'd be worth the ad. Because obviously he's going to be a talented player that could start on a national championship type team. But it is a gamble. I won't sugarcoat that. It is a gamble. With Kansas State, we don't all know who's coming back, who's going. There could be everybody hits the portal. There could be nobody that hits the portal. That would shock me completely. But the reality of the situation is we don't know where the roster stands as of right now. What we do know is you have to add good players. Langston Love fits that description. He's a talented player that could be a really, really reliable piece for you and one of your best players on any given night. That being said, it's a gamble. You can't just rely on the kid the same way you look at a kid that's averaged, 10 points over his career, played every single game. You understand there's some give and take to that. But you like the production. It's at high major basketball. Obviously, Big 12, familiar with basketball in the Big 12, has played there his entire career. Super quick break. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, 63% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the YouTube channel. And feel free absolutely to ignore this and skip this, whatever the case is. But those of you that are watching right now and are unsubscribed, be sure and consider hitting that subscribe button if you love Kansas State, if you appreciate the channel. It's a great way to support me as I continue to grow on this journey, and it's also incredible to bring more K-State fans in like yourself on a consistent basis to see more of my K-State content. Once again, if you're in that 63% or if you're in the alternative in the 37%, I love and appreciate you. Back to the Cats. But what you look at this is he's not a project. You don't look at him as a project. A gamble, sure. A project, no. There's a lot of people discussing this because say we only have 4 spots to add in the transfer portal. Say we have 5 spots to add in the transfer portal. You don't want to add projects of guys that could project to eventually be a good player. Langston Love's a good player. He just has to stay healthy. Obviously, playing the last back half of the games of the season is a big deal, but I am curious because I don't usually, this is maybe on me as a host or as a podcast YouTube guy, I don't usually ask you guys your opinion in terms of videos, mostly because I think it's kind of cringy to be like, oh guys, leave your comment of where you're from, of this, just because that's one way that people try to get traction or try to get attention in the comment section. I'm curious, where do you stand on Langston Love? This one's being 100% honest, 100% genuine. I am convinced that Langston Love would be a good addition. Do you guys feel like it's worth the value? Do you feel like it's worth the risk? Obviously, the staff's made some choices that hasn't worked out in the past couple years in terms of calculated risks. This is one. This is absolutely one. Would Langston Love be a good choice? Would you take that more than 50% of the time? Or are you kind of just up in the air of we'll see what happens? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. The way I see it, this is your Max Jones replacement, but he's a guy that has a ton of upside and could be one of your best players on any given night if you can get him healthy. Obviously, K-State hasn't had a ton of health issues on their roster the last couple seasons. It feels like the training staff's been pretty solid in that sense, but you know that there's some nuance there, and that's an interesting conversation to have. But as of right now, I would be absolutely shocked if K-State wasn't at least interested in Langston Love. Is it vice versa? I'm not sure. That's the thing you didn't see with LJ Cryer, considering he left left Scott Drew's system, and he didn't consider K-State because obviously, in my mind, it's a similar thing where it's, okay, that system is not something I want to be a part of. Will that be the case with Langston Love? We'll see. But guys, for now, that's a player to talk about. We're going to talk about a couple more players as the day goes on, hitting you some rapid-fire content, multiple videos. That's what we're all about on this channel. But guys, that'll do it. I'll talk to you soon. Hopefully, K-State gets things done in the transfer portal. We'll see if there's interest from both sides. But that's going to do it, and I'll talk to you soon. Go Cats!